Alrighty, what's up, kids? Welcome to Volume 7, Homeschooling. Little Tommy Bukovac, the session man. I'm in a pretty good mood today. No idea why. But yeah, I hope everybody's, doing okay the day after the big contest results. I mean, that was a big day, right? But, everybody handled it very cool. Everybody was very respectful of young Luke, who won it. All the other guys, good attitude. I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Hell, I don't know what to talk about today. I had a couple of reader comments. I love those. Let's see what we got here. One guy said, in another comment from the controversial volume on phrasing a while back. Remember that one? Very controversial volume there. The guy said, hey, Tom, love the phrasing take. I started a challenge on Instagram and titled it the #Book Challenge, so we can hear 100 guitar players lined up to play that lick. Well, I don't have any of the Instagrams or the social medias to know if you were actually serious or not, but if I recall, I wish I would have played a cooler lick for you guys to copy if that is in fact true. I don't know. But that reminded me of some things that I was been thinking about. I've been meaning to talk to you about something. One aspect of guitar playing that I feel is very important. There are definite giveaway signs in my mind of amateur guitar players, when I watch them. There's the vibrato thing, the sort of involuntary vibrato thing that I mentioned a while back. That's sort of, and then there's also another problems inside the phrasing, and that is rushing. Man, it's the demon that even really good guitar players have trouble slaying that dragon, right? It's the tendency to rush when you're playing is so born into us that it's just impossible to sometimes to beat this thing. You have to really, really think about where you're putting stuff in the pocket. You can't get too excited when you're playing, when you're going out on a limb and you're in the middle of a groove and you're trying to solo over it or something. It's so hard not to get too excited and rush that shit. And that's what separates the men from the boys. I ain't kidding you, man. That's a big deal. The greats do not do that, okay? I was going to tell you a funny story that I was thinking about this morning, about back when I had my guitar store. Remember when I retired from sessions? For a while, I had this little music store with my buddy Rick, the doctor. Shout out to the doctor. It was just me and him, no other employees. So sometimes we would both be there, and it was like a little used consignment shop. And sometimes it would just be one of us, right? If the other one couldn't make it, right? And it wasn't a very big place. There was like a showroom up front and there was like an office in the back. And I would try to hide in the office most of the time because I get a little claustrophobic in settings where I'm sort of forced to be put in front of people. I'm a bit of a recluse by nature. So I remember one day I was in there and I was in the office, and then, we had like a whole row of guitars and amps that people could all use shit. People could come in and pick up stuff and just plug it in freely and jam. I remember these two kids came in one day, obviously Belmont jazz students. The one guy picked up a archtop, plugged it in, started playing all these, jazz licks over and over. He knew every jazz lick in the book, but he didn't know how to play them. He sounded like a computer program of all the greatest jazz licks, rushing everything, no soul and anything like that. And then his buddy started trying to play rhythm for him, and he was equally in need of a little guidance. He was like, he wasn't playing the right kind of rhythm guitar to support a guy. He was too herky-jerky. He was all over, too many chords, all over the shop. So I listened to these guys play for like 15 minutes while I was back in the office, and I started getting a little irritated. So I walked out to the front and I interrupted them right in the middle of playing. I said, hey fellas, you ever heard that old Southern joke about the two bulls looking down over a field of cows? This, by the way, is not just a joke to me. It's actually like it's more like my belief system, all right? I said, yeah, there's these two bulls looking down over a field of cows. There's one old bull and one young bull. And the young bull says to the old bull, hey, let's run down there and fuck one of those cows. And the old bull says, let's walk down there and fuck them all. When I said that to these guys, they just looked at me like I was crazy. They were like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I said, look, man, you're playing those licks. You gotta chill out, man, and play that shit like you mean it. You know, you can't just rush through all these licks, you know. And you playing rhythm, you gotta make a nice bed for your buddy here to play over. You can't be distracting from what he's doing. You gotta make a nice, you know, chill platform for him to do his thing, right? You know, and they were like, oh, okay, cool. And they were cool after a while, but I think they thought I was a bit of a weirdo at first, which I am, but it taught them a lesson. And look, man, I don't know everything, but I do feel like that joke is more than just a joke. It's the way you should approach music. You know, when you're in pressure, when you're in a pressure situation in music, like act like you've been there before. Don't get too excited and let it be a blur in your memory. Like be in the moment. Play like you've been there before. Like when Drew Brees gets the ball with a minute to go and the Saints are behind. He don't feel pressure. That guy's got ice water in his veins. He walks out there and acts like it's nothing. It's just another day in the office for him, you know. I love that guy, by the way. What a badass. All right, so there's that. An old Southern joke that means a lot more than just a joke, okay? So I've been meaning to tell you guys about that whole Russian thing. Don't rush. Just lay it in the pocket. Now, here's another thing, too. A lot of guys think they're being real cool by playing everything behind in the pocket. They think the more you lay something back, the cooler it is. Some of my most frustrating days in the studio have been with guys that play like that. Okay, look, that's all fine, but you can't always play like that. It depends on what the song needs, man. You gotta play the energy of the song. If a song is supposed to be urgent and up and like, you know, make you feel some kind of like crazy energy, you don't want to be laying back. You don't want, you know, that's not always the case. Sometimes it's cool, like on a cool R&B song, lay it back, great. But man, you got to be able to do everything all around the click. Pocket, timing is everything. Okay, guys? Okay, here's another one. Let's see. Okay, so guys, here's a slightly frightening comment that came in from a guy named Kevin. This scares me a little bit. He said, hey, Tom, I run a program teaching youth guitar up here in Canada called Guitars for Youth. I can't tell you how valuable homeschooling is. I'm encouraging all the youth I work with to get online and watch every show. Ooh. Okay, wait a minute, Kevin. How old are these kids? Are you sure you want them using me as a role model? Foul mouth, beer drinking guy from Cleveland, the Bukowski of guitar, as one guy said. I don't know if that's a good idea, man. You might want to think about that, okay? All right, so here's another one that I thought was hilarious. Let's see, the guy said, just thanks, Tom. My wife and I were talking, my wife was talking to me at dinner last night about all the things on the internet that have kept her afloat during the plague. She said, sunsets, kittens, little kids, sidewalk chalk. All I had to tell her about was you. You're my kittens, Tom. There you go. Here's your kitten. Well, thank you, man. That's very, very sweet. That's sweet. I don't even know what to say to that. Thank you. Appreciate that. You guys like the show? Warms the heart. Okay, so Here's another one. Let's see what this guy said. He said, these vids have been inspiring the hell out of me. I have to admit, the other day when I saw the Memphis Train vid, the first 3 minutes made me want to put my gear out in the alley. But then I asked myself, aside from playing, what is it I like about Tom's vibe? And I realized it's his go-for-it attitude when it comes to playing. He isn't tentative about playing. Once I realized that, I was back to jamming. Damn right you were. That's good. I never want to discourage anyone. And thank you for saying that. I have made it a life's work to play guitar in a non-tentative fashion. Okay, I cannot stand it when I watch somebody play and they're playing all tentative. Oh God. It does not work for me. Pete Townsend does not play tentative. David Gilmour does not play tentative. All the greats. I'm not putting myself in that category, but I'm just saying that's what I aspire to, okay? I mean, these, you know, you can always tell when a guy means it when he's playing the guitar. I don't care if they're playing something super chill. It doesn't have to be rocking all the time. It could be something real chill and soft, but you can tell when they mean it. That's everything. I mean, you can't be scared. That's why, you know, knowing your fretboard and all that shit that I keep harping on, that's what gives you confidence, right? As a player, when you're second guessing yourself in your own mind, the whole world can hear it through your instrument. You know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense? All right, I got a couple. I want to start bringing in a trivia element to the show. I was thinking about that this morning. I love trivia. I did one trivia question so far on a previous episode. I'm going to play 2 songs, riffs from 2 songs, and anyone who can guess them right wins the prize, which, as we all know, none of my contests actually have any real prizes. So here's a riff. Check it out. Pretty obscure, but I know somebody out there is going to know it. I'm going to play 2 riffs. And Glenn Rosenstein, you are not allowed to play this game because you know all this shit. I know you do. But here's a riff. I haven't played this in ages, but here we go. I butchered it. Here it goes. You get the point. That's the riff. Okay. And here's another one. What song was that from? Pretty obscure. Here's another one. Check it out. There you go. First guy who writes in that knows those 2 wins. Bragging rights to the trivia contest. All right, guys, just trying to keep it fun around here. I don't want you guys getting bored out there. I think that's it for today. Oh, you know what I was thinking about too? Regarding that last thing I was talking about with the, you know, play like you mean it thing. You know, my dear friend, Guthrie Trapp, who I know you guys love as much as I do. Unbelievable musician and a very fucking cool guy. He said something to me on the phone one time. I was complaining about the performance of a musician that I was in the studio with. And he goes, you know what, Tom? He goes, think about it, man. People play like their personalities. I go, what do you mean, man? He goes, think about it, man. People play like their personalities. And I started considering that. I never really thought about that, but it is true. I mean, you look at players around you and you're like, yeah, he does play like his personality, you know? So what's your personality, everybody? You know? What are you doing out there? All right. Something to think about from your Uncle Larry there. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.